Ambassador Davis stared out the viewport of the United Earth vessel Concordia, watching as the Vrax battlecruiser maintained its position 2 kilometers off their port bow. The tension in the command deck was palpable. 3 days had passed since the Vrax Imperium had issued their ultimatum: surrender the disputed Tau Ceti colonies or face annihilation. Any response from the Galactic Council? Davis asked, his weathered face betraying no emotion. Captain Lin shook her head. Nothing yet, sir. The Vrax have jammed most long-range communications. We're on our own for now. The Vrax had emerged 20 years ago, conquering 3 neighboring species before humanity had even made first contact. Their philosophy was simple: the strong dominate, the weak submit. They couldn't comprehend why humans, with their advanced technology and considerable military might, showed such restraint in galactic affairs. Admiral Taylor is requesting your presence in the war room, the COMM's officer announced. Davis nodded and made his way through the ship's corridors. The war room was filled with Earth's highest-ranking military officials, their faces grim. Admiral Taylor gestured to the tactical display. The Vrax fleet outnumbers us 3-1. They've positioned themselves to cut off any reinforcements from Sol. If we engage, casualties will be catastrophic on both sides. And if we surrender Tau Ceti, asked General Martinez, we lose our most productive colony and show weakness, Taylor replied. The Vrax will simply demand more next time. Davis studied the display. What about Plan Omega? The room fell silent. Plan Omega wasn't a military strategy. It was a historical lesson. Commander Reed, Davis called to a young officer standing near the door. Please play the archive files for our Vrax guests. It's time they understood why humans avoid war. Supreme Commander Krell of the Vrax Imperium received the transmission with contempt. These humans were soft, always seeking diplomacy when conquest was the natural order. He ordered his communications officer to display the message. The screen flickered to life, showing a series of historical footage from Earth's past. Krell watched with increasing confusion as scenes of human warfare played before him, primitive at first, then increasingly sophisticated and devastating. The narration began, spoken in the calm voice of Ambassador Davis. The Vrax Imperium believes humans are weak because we choose negotiation over conflict. You mistake our restraint for cowardice, our diplomacy for fear. But we have not always been peaceful. For most of our history, we excelled at warfare. The footage showed World War I trenches, bodies piled in mud. World War II cities reduced to rubble. Nuclear tests turning islands to glass. In the span of just 30 years, our species killed over 100 million of our own kind. We perfected the art of destruction. From mustard gas to nuclear weapons, we became so efficient at killing that we nearly destroyed ourselves. Krell leaned forward, his 4 eyes widening as the images continued. But unlike the Vrax, we learned. We evolved. We discovered that true strength lies not in domination but in cooperation. Not because we couldn't fight, but because we knew all too well what happens when we do. The screen displayed the Earth's unified space fleet, defensive systems that dwarfed even the Vrax technology, and weapons platforms that could devastate entire solar systems. We choose peace not from weakness but from wisdom. We negotiate not because we must, but because we prefer not to demonstrate the alternative. The transmission shifted to show simulations of what would happen if humans deployed their full military capability against the Vrax. The calculations were precise and devastating. Krell felt his blood run cold. This is not a threat, Supreme Commander. This is simply information. We wish you to make your decisions with complete understanding of the consequences. Back on the Concordia, Davis watched as the Vrax battlecruiser's posture changed. Its weapon ports closed and it backed away slightly. They're hailing us, the communications officer announced. Supreme Commander Krell appeared on screen. Ambassador Davis, your historical records are interesting. Perhaps there is merit in further discussion before any hasty actions are taken. Davis nodded solemnly. We would welcome that, Commander. Shall we begin with the matter of Tau Ceti? After the transmission ended, Admiral Taylor approached Davis. Do you think they understand now? They're beginning to, Davis replied. The Vraks respect strength above all else. We simply showed them a different kind of strength, the strength it takes to hold back when you have the power to destroy. Captain, Lin joined them. The rest of the fleet reports the Vrak ships are standing down across all sectors. It appears your history lesson was effective. Davis turned back to the viewport, watching as the Vrak's flagship moved to a parallel course rather than an attack position. Humans don't avoid war because we're incapable of winning, he said quietly. We avoid it because we know too well what winning costs. That's something the Vraks and many species don't understand about us. General Martinez smiled slightly. The old Earth saying is true then. History's greatest warriors are those who never need to fight. Exactly, Davis nodded. Our greatest weapon has always been our memory. We remember the cost of war so clearly that peace becomes the only rational choice. As the Concordia adjusted course to meet the Vrak's diplomatic vessel, Davis reflected that this was the true meaning of human strength, not the willingness to destroy but the wisdom to choose not to. The stars outside the viewport seemed brighter somehow, as if in approval of a war averted and understanding gained. It wasn't surrender. It wasn't weakness. It was humanity's greatest strength, choosing a better path forward, together.